My dear friend's limit. How many times have I faced that very same fear that seems to bind us like invisible chains as we step into our luxuries? The fear of spending money on ourselves, as if we always need to be saving for a rainy day. But what if I told you that this very fear steals from us the most precious things, our health, our joy, and the chance to truly live, right here and now? It always seemed to me that life is a grand lesson, and the older we get, the more wisdom we accumulate. We have learned so much: how to build a career, how to be a pillar for our children, how to weather storms and rejoice in the sunshine. And yet, along this journey, we also learned, sometimes to a fanatic degree, how to save. To save on everything, on the little things, on leisure, on pleasures, and sometimes even on ourselves. We put things off. We denied ourselves, persuading ourselves that later will be better, or that's too luxurious for me, and here we are now. 60. Tears.and, some of us even more. We've lived through so much, achieved such heights we never even dreamed of in our youth. Children have grown, grandchildren bring us joy. Work perhaps is behind us. It seems that finally the time has come to enjoy the fruits of our labor. But what's actually happening? Too many of us continue to live in a mode of strict economy. And this isn't the kind of saving that helped us survive tough times, or to save for our children's education. This is economy, dictated by fear, the fear of the future, of illness, of running out of money. This fear, my dears, can become the biggest obstacle to a full and joyful life. Right now, in your golden age, my name is Mary, and I'm here again, from my beloved corner, in sunny California. Through all the wisdom I've gathered, I realized something important. We have grown used to scrimping on everything. On food, on rest, on pleasures, and sometimes even on ourselves. We keep postponing joys and self-care. But for later, convincing ourselves that it's too luxurious, or not for us, or that something might change tomorrow. And we sit here, deeply experienced, accomplished, and mature, and yet the habit of saving on ourselves keeps us from living fully. We think, what if I get sick? What if I run out of money? What will the children think if I spend a little something on myself? That paralyzing fear makes us forget. By putting off life for tomorrow, we let it slip past us today. This fear, my friends, is the greatest trap of all, standing guard at the gates of our happiness in this golden chapter. I want to talk to you about this because I am deeply convinced that your life, your well-being, your energy are the most precious things you possess. Neglecting yourself simply to save for an imaginary rainy day is an unforgivable mistake. Let's imagine my neighbor Betty, a wonderful woman, was always very frugal. She bought the cheapest groceries at the store, often with a long shelf life or on sale. Why pay more for an organic apple if a regular one is cheaper? She'd say. The main thing is that it's an apple. And an apple it was, but after several years Betty faced serious digestive problems and constant fatigue. Doctors told her that her body wasn't getting enough micronutrients, and some cheap products contained too many additives. In the end, she had to spend thousands of dollars on examinations, nutritionist consultations, expensive medications, and special supplements. Those savings on groceries turned into huge expenses for her and a loss of quality of life. By botenavn knepelstage. Now look at me. I'm certainly not a spendthrift, but I realize that investing in my health is the smartest investment. Instead of buying the cheapest products, I try to choose fresh vegetables and fruits, often buying them at the farmer's market here. In California, yes, sometimes it's a little more expensive, but I feel the difference. My body gets everything it needs. I have more energy. My digestion works perfectly. And my skin looks better. Or let's take comfort. I always had back problems for many years. I worked as an accountant, sitting at a desk for a long time. I endured an old sagging chair to avoid with spending. But then I realized this saving didn't allow me to sit up straight, cost attention, and by evening, My back just ached terribly. I bought myself a good ergonomic chair. It was a significant sum. But do you know what? My back pain decreased dramatically. I started sleeping better. Because I wasn't experiencing such discomfort during the day. My productivity increased because I could sit longer without pain. This purchase, it's not an expense, it's an investment in my physical state and overall well-being. The same applies to doctor visits. How many times do we postpone going to a specialist because of saving? What if it's nothing serious? Let's wait, maybe it'll go away on its own. I don't want to spend money on unnecessary tests, but early detection of a problem is often the key to a quick and less costly solution. A small preventive measure today can save you from expensive and prolonged treatment tomorrow. Regular checkups, tests, even just consultations with a therapist, that's not a luxury. It's your basic level of self-care. My friend Bob postponed a visit to the dentist until the tooth became unbearably painful. In the end, instead of a small filling, he had to undergo a complex surgery. Which cost a fortune. Think about movement. We often hear that movement is life, and that's absolutely true. But many of us save on activities where gym membership is too expensive. I don't want to spend on good sneakers. The pool is too far. And what's the result? Muscle mass decreases, joints become stiff, the risk of falls increases, and then problems begin that require not a membership but the services of a physical therapist or even a surgeon. My choice is regular walks here in the California hills and simple exercises at home. I invested in good, comfortable sneakers and light athletic wear, and this allows me to stay active, maintain my weight, strengthen my bones, and feel light and agile. Remember, my friends, your body is the only home you have on this earth. Taking care of it, giving it the best you can afford, isn't indulgence. It's a vital necessity. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built, your energy, your mood, your relationships. Your ability to enjoy every day. Don't let the fear of the future deprive you of joy and health. In the present, invest in yourself because you deserve it, and it's the wisest investment you will ever make. You, my dears, we've talked a lot about how important it is not to skimp on your physical health. It's the foundation without which everything else will simply crumble. But the body is only one part of us, no less, and perhaps even more important, is our emotional and mental well-being, and this is where the fear of saving can inflict perhaps the most insidious and subtle blow, slowly eroding our joy and peace. Often we think, well, that's just entertainment, a whim. Why spend money on movies, on a new book, on sitting with friends at a cafe, if you can just stay home? It's not a basic necessity. It's not food, not medicine. Better to save these pennies. What if they're needed for something truly important? This truly important often turns out to be a trap, my friends, because our emotional and mental well-being is truly important, a constant state of anxiety due to saving, a feeling of deprivation, denying ourselves small pleasures, social interaction. But new experiences, all of this accumulates like a snowball, and this snowball weighs on our mood. Can lead to chronic stress, apathy, and sometimes even to genuine depression. And we know that stress is a silent killer. It destroys immunity, exacerbates chronic diseases, and robs us of the joy of life. I noticed this in myself. When I focused too much on every penny, my mood would drop. I became irritable. Lost interest in things that used to bring me joy. Days felt gray and monotonous, and I realized, it wasn't old age taking my joy, but my own fear. It whispered, you don't spend. It's not important. Save. But what did I get in return? Emptiness and gloom, allowing yourself a new, interesting book that transports you to another world, a trip to the cinema for a good movie that makes you laugh or think, a ticket to a concert by your favorite artist, even if it's a small one, or simply a beautiful bouquet of flowers. To brighten your home and lift your spirits, all of this might not cost very much. But the value of these moments is immeasurable. They fill our lives with color, meaning they bring new emotions, My grandfather, when I was little, always said Mary, smiles and laughter are priceless. They are the most expensive things in life, but they cost pennies if you know where to find them. And he was absolutely right. Remember how much social interaction affects us. We are social beings. We need connection. Laughter. Heartfelt conversations. How many times have we denied ourselves a coffee with a friend or a lunch outing with friends just to save? It's cheaper to drink tea at home. Well, what would we talk about? It's the same as on the phone. But it's not the same personal interaction, the exchange of energy. Real life laughter, all of this activates happiness hormones in our brain, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. They strengthen our immune system, lower the stress hormone cortisol, and even protect our heart. I remember once my friend Barbara, who lives nearby here in Ventura County, told me that she had stopped going to her favorite knitting club. Mary, it's an extra $5 a week for transport and materials that I can use for something more important, she explained. A couple of months later, I saw that Barbara had become more withdrawn, apathetic. Her eyes had lost their sparkle. I convinced her to go back to the club, and what do you think? A week later, she was radiant. She had found her community again, her friends, her passion. Those $5 a week, that wasn't an investment in knitting, but in her peace of mind. The same goes for hobbies. How many unfulfilled desires have we accumulated? To learn to play the guitar, to paint with watercolors, to learn Spanish, to take up gardening? Often we say, it's too expensive, I don't have money for that. But, my dears, there are so many affordable ways to do what you love. Libraries offer free courses, online lessons. Community centers often have inexpensive classes, and even if it requires a small investment, think about the joy. The sense of fulfillment, the meaning that a new hobby will bring you, it's priceless. A happy, calm person, filled with experiences and social connection, doesn't just live longer, they live a higher quality, richer life. They get sick less often, their immune system is better, they cope with life's challenges more easily. Why save money for a rainy day if every gray day you deprive yourself of light and joy? Don't deny yourself moments of joy, social interaction. What nourishes your soul, these small expenses, are actually huge investments in your emotional and mental health. They make you happy, and a happy person is a healthy person. Don't let fear deprive you of what's most precious, your joy and your peace of mind. You deserve to enjoy life in all its fullness, And now, my dears, let's talk about something that for us grandmas and grandpas often becomes an unwritten rule, though we rarely voice it. This concerns our relationships with our closest ones, our children and grandchildren. We constantly think about their future, their well-being, and that's wonderful. But sometimes this concern turns into a paralyzing fear that makes us save even on ourselves for the sake of an illusory inheritance. And this is where a big misconception lies. Your experience and wisdom, your joy for life is the most valuable inheritance for your loved ones, far more significant than mere money. What's the hidden stereotype and fear here? It sounds something like this: I must save every penny for my children and grandchildren. The more I leave them, the better. They'll think I'm a spendthrift if I spend on myself. What will be left for them after me? This voice of doubt whispers guilt into us for simply wanting to live and rejoice because one must think of others. And this is where we tread on very thin ice, my dears. Your children and grandchildren, believe me, want to see you happy, energetic, active, and full of life. They don't want you to live in fear, denying yourselves everything, just to preserve an abstract sum that they might receive someday in the future. Your well-being, your joy for life, your ability to be an example of a full, courageous life, this is a far more valuable inheritance than extra dollars, hidden for a rainy day that you never dared to spend on yourself. My daughter, Jennifer, lives with her family here in the suburbs of Los Angeles. And she always tells me, Mom, the most important thing is your health and your happiness. When you're happy, when your eyes sparkle, when you can share something new, that's what's most valuable to us. We don't need your savings if, for their sake, you'll sit at home, tired and sad. And she's absolutely right, I realized, that when I'm full of energy, when my eyes sparkle from a new hobby or experience, when I can enjoy spending time with my grandchildren, it brings them far more benefit than any bank account. Imagine two pictures. In the first, you save on every little thing, deny yourself trips to the cinema, to museums, small travels to leave, more for your grandchildren. You worry about every dollar, constantly feel constrained. And then, when they visit you, you sit there, tired, perhaps irritable due to constant financial anxiety, telling the same old stories, because you have no new experiences, no new energy. What will they take away from this? Perhaps a sense of guilt that you lived that way for their sake, or even regret that their grandpa never allowed themselves to truly live. And now, the second picture, you allow yourself to live a full life. You are open to new things. You can tell your grandchildren about your recent adventures, share impressions from an exhibition, show photos from a trip to the ocean, teach them to knit or play chess. Because you had the time, energy, and opportunity to learn something new. My grandson, little Tommy, loves it when I tell him about how I'm learning to paint with watercolors. He asks me himself, "You grandma, show me what you painted today." I take him with me on an outdoor painting trip to our local park. And together we try to capture the beauty of nature. For him, it's not just what grandma paints. It's grandma does something amazing and teaches me. Isn't that more valuable than just saved money? Isn't that the living, real thing that will remain in their hearts? Your experience, your wisdom, your stories. Your energy, your ability to rejoice in life. That's what forms true memories. And passes values from generation to generation. When you live a full life, you show your children and grandchildren. But that age is not a sentence, but a new chapter full of opportunities, adventures, and joy. You teach them not to fear old age, but to look forward to it with anticipation, as a time for fulfilling long-forgotten dreams and discovering new horizons. Remember your childhood dreams that you once put off or later. Maybe you wanted to learn to play the piano, but didn't have the time or means, or to visit some unusual museum that seemed too far or too expensive, or simply to try a new exotic fruit that you saw on TV, but never dared to buy. These are the small things and the big desires that make life richer. 什么是petit? That make life richer, that nourish your soul, that make you smile. And if you have the financial means for such things that nourish your soul, don't deny yourself. These are not expenses, these are investments in your emotional legacy that you will leave for your loved ones. You will become a living example for them of how to live life brightly until the very end without succumbing to fear. You will give them permission to be happy, to enjoy life without living in constant fear. This is the most valuable inheritance one can leave, an example of a happy and brave life. You don't let a false sense of guilt towards the future generation steal your present. Your task now is to live a full life. This is the best thing you can do for yourself and for them, but you will give them permission to be happy, to enjoy life without living in constant fear. This is the most valuable inheritance one can leave, an example of a happy and brave life. Let's move on. My dears, our next point is something we often forget when we become fixated on saving. And yet, it's our most irreplaceable resource. Time is your most valuable resource. And it cannot be exchanged for money or put off you for later. Dinda, what is the stereotype that prevents us from seeing the value of this resource? It sounds like this: I'll always have time. Well, later, when I retire, I'll have more time. Is sometime next time, when I save up enough money, I'll save this desire for better times. We constantly put off dreams and desires for later, naively believing that time is an endless river that will always flow in one direction, bringing us new opportunities. But the truth is, the flow of time for us, unfortunately, is not endless, and every postponed day, every lost moment is an irreplaceable loss. The truth is, none of us know exactly how much time we've been given. Every day, every hour, every minute is a unique gift that cannot be returned, cannot be put off for later, or exchanged for money, postponing new experiences, travels. Developing long-forgotten hobbies, meeting loved ones means risking losing them forever. Your youth of spirit has no expiration date. But your physical time on this earth, unfortunately, is limited. And I will tell you quite honestly, from my personal experience and the experience of my friends, the bitterest regret in our age is regret over missed opportunities, over those moments that we could have lived but put off due to false fear, a desire to save, or simply due to the banal "we not now." Rinda, I remember my friend Evelyn from San Francisco. She dreamed her whole life of going on an Alaskan cruise to see the majestic glaciers, the whales, the untouched nature. She had the money, quite enough to fulfill this dream. But she constantly found reasons to save. Maybe next year I need to do renovations now. I need to save more. Just in case I need the money. It's such a luxury, it's not worth it. She was afraid to spend on this indulgence, thinking that Alaska wasn't going anywhere. Years passed. First, she started having joint problems, then heart issues. By the time she finally said, okay, it's time. Her health no longer allowed her to enjoy this trip to the fullest. She was able to go, but not with the same energy, not with the same joy, not with the same freedom of movement she had dreamed of. With that her eyes, and I saw in her eyes a deep, aching regret for the time she had missed. And me, I always dreamed of learning to dance Argentinian tango. Sounds funny for a woman over Liu Shi, right? But it was my old dream. For a long time I thought, well, it's expensive, and I'm too old, and what will the neighbors say? But then I looked at myself in the mirror and asked you, Mary, if not now, when? I found an inexpensive beginner's class at the local community center. Yes, it cost some money and it required time that I could have spent at home saving, but oh my goodness, what joy it was! Each class filled me with energy, a sense of grace, laughter, and new acquaintances. I felt alive, young in spirit, despite my age. And even if I never become a dance floor star, those hours I spent learning, moving, enjoying the music are priceless. They not only brought me incredible pleasure, but also improved my coordination, memory, posture, and gave me a confidence I didn't have in my youth. Isn't that a better investment than simply accumulating numbers in an account? While time mercilessly slips through your fingers, think about the places you've always wanted to see. The Grand Canyon in all its majesty, the autumn colors of the East Coast, a cozy little village in the Colorado mountains where you might have spent your childhood, or just a neighboring town with that unusual museum you once read about, but you never got around to if you have the opportunity. If your health allows you now to travel and gain new experiences, cherish it, do it now. No money will buy back the lost years when you were strong enough and healthy enough to walk, to see, to explore, and to absorb the world in all its beauty. Or perhaps it's not a journey, but something simpler, yet no less important for your soul. Maybe you always wanted to learn to bake the perfect apple pie from an old family recipe, but put it off because your flour is expensive or it will take too much time. Or perhaps you dreamed of starting a collection of vintage postcards or researching your family history. But you felt it was important or could be done later. Understand that these desires are a part of you. They nourish your soul, give you meaning, bring you joy. And if you deny yourself their fulfillment, you deny yourself a part of your life, a part of your uniqueness. You deprive yourself of these moments that could become your most vivid memories. Remember, my dears, life is not a rehearsal for something grand. It is the grand thing. Every day we live in fear and economy. On what is most sacred is a day we lose irrevocably. Don't let the fear of the future steal your present. Your task now is to live a full life, to breathe deeply, to rejoice in the small things, and to fulfill big and small dreams. This is the best thing you can do for yourself, for your health, for your soul, and for those around you. Don't be afraid to spend time on what brings you true joy and new experiences. It's not a luxury. Aukfern is the wisest investment in your life, because time is our most valuable asset. and it should be spent wisely and with pleasure. Conclusion: your golden age is now. So, my dears, we've come such an important way together, understanding how the fear of saving can subtly but surely poison our lives, depriving us of our most precious moments. We've seen that true wisdom isn't about hoarding for some mythical rainy day, which perhaps may never even come, but about investing in yourself, in your invaluable health, both physical and emotional, in your joy, in your personal growth, and, of course, in those priceless memories that you'll cherish in your heart and your loved ones will hold in their minds. This isn't about thoughtless spending. It's about a life without regrets. It's about waking up every morning with a sense of eager anticipation for the new day. Your golden age isn't some distant future. It is now. Every new day isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a unique opportunity, an opportunity to breathe deeply, to laugh until you cry, to learn something completely new, to be active, to savor every moment spent with those you love, and to allow yourself those small and large joys that fill you with energy and true, profound happiness. You've worked your whole life, sometimes tirelessly, so that now, in this beautiful period, you can live, truly live, not just exist, waiting for something elusive. Don't let fear dictate your actions and steal this incredible chapter of your life from you. May your golden age be filled with vibrant experiences, wonderful discoveries, deep emotions, and sincere, unadulterated joy. Don't let fear steal your most precious possession, your life, right here, right now, lived to its fullest. 太是to 泡提神出世了. Remember, you deserve this. Every moment of happiness, every smile, every new experience. It has been so incredibly wonderful to spend this time with you, sharing these thoughts, which I believe are so important. I'm genuinely curious to know, where are you watching this video from, my dears? Please write in the comments, tell me what city or even country you're in. I truly love reading your comments and feeling that connection. And if this video inspired you, if it resonated with your heart and made you think about your golden age, then please give it a like. And definitely subscribe to my channel, Emily's Wishes. It helps me share even more useful tips, inspiring stories, and I hope a little piece of sunny cheer about how to live a full happy life at any age. Sending you warm hugs, and until our next warm meeting, live bravely, with joy and without regrets.